fuck these Nazi cunts and fuck everything else. Welcome to I Hope You Suffer.
Yeah.
True.
Is that actually the tagline? That'd
No,
be sick as
I
fuck.
did not see a tagline, but that was
Damn.
like one of the quotes I saw at like the top of somebody's review, and I was like, yeah, line fucking rules. This is episode 360 of I Hope You Suffer. I'm home.
Wow, we've almost got a year's worth of episodes.
Yeah, almost.
Holy
Well,
shit.
I mean, if you count Patreon, we're well over it.
Well, yeah.
Mean feed.
All right, who's everybody else? Katie, you have to say you're home too, because we both said we were home in the text.
Oh, yes, I'm also home. By the way.
Kit is awake.
Yeah,
We're
I
gonna,
woke up.
we're going to talk about 2023's T Blockers. A banger. I had I saw when like Brandon and all of them were doing the festival circuit for St. Drogo that they kept playing with T Blockers, and like I kept seeing the post about how fucking sick it was, and I was like, I'm gonna check that out, and then it only came to like Shudder, which I don't have.
Yeah.
But Darkstar released it on Blu-ray through like Vinegar Syndrome's like partner label stuff, so I was like, well, I'll just fucking buy it, and it rocks. And it came with like 2 other of Alice's movies, and then I ended up buying one of the other Blu-rays that had 2 more of her movies on it, and they are all very good. So I don't know, what'd you guys think? Because I watched this a couple times before.
I thought it was really good. I was into it. I wasn't sure what to expect.
Yeah.
Like maybe it's just my dumb brain, and I was getting it mixed up with Blockers, the John Cena movie. But for some reason, I thought this was like a bigger budget movie, not like an indie Australian splatterpunk movie. So I was pleasantly surprised, and it was delightful just how queer and anti-fascist it was. Like, that was great.
Yeah, all of her movies. So, like, this is the one I think that goes the hardest into the sort of like the kind of current hellscape we're all living in, especially amongst like trans people and just sort of like the like fascist bullshit going on. But like all of her movies deal with that in some aspect, but this is the one that's like very overt about it. Like, I've watched, let's see, she has 11 movies she's directed between like full lengths and like some shorts. And I've watched all but 3 of them, and then she has one that's like coming out soon. The only one I haven't seen, the only full length I haven't seen is So Vam, which I believe is a vampire
I'm
movie.
interested in that one.
Yeah, that one was not on any of the Blu-rays I got, and it's only on Shudder, so I haven't been able to watch it. But like, I watched one last night, Carnage for Christmas, which is, obviously a Christmas movie, but I think Katie would actually really like it because it's about this trans woman who has this like very popular like true crime podcast that ends up in going back to like her hometown, and there's like murders happening, and she's one of the people that has to like solve the murder. It's really good. But
I'm in.
I had like
I
had decided to like we should cover this because there's been like this weird like online discourse about people who will like watch a movie like this and be like, I don't know, it looks cheap. I don't like it. It looks cheap. For like these like movies that clearly cost like $5,000 to make or some shit.
Right. Well, of course it's gonna look cheap.
Yeah.
Like, who fucking cares?
It's not gonna look like a Marvel movie. I'm sorry.
Right. It's not gonna look like John Cena's Blockers, okay?
Yeah. You know how sick this movie would be if John Cena just like popped in for like 2 minutes.
That'd have been incredible.
But like I've just been kind of like, I don't know. I really want to like, cover good, like like this, and then like dinosaurs in a mining facility, and kind of stuff like that. Where I'm like, it's clearly like a cheap movie, but it rocks, and like I don't understand. Well, I do. People are stupid, but it's like I don't know how like people can like watch a movie like T Blockers and be like, well, this is bad because it looks cheap, and I'm like, this movie was
what did you expect going in?
Right, like
first of all,
like these movies are like scrapped together by like sure will from some of these people, and it's like, I don't know, it's not like it's shitting on a movie like that as opposed to like something that's cheap, kind of like the modern Polonia stuff, where I'm just like, you clearly just like shit this out in like 2 days because
there's no love put into it.
Yeah,
like there's no effort.
You're reusing the same shark footage from the other 10 shark movies, or like some of the Amityville stuff Katie and I have watched, where it's like literally just footage made up that they re-edited from like 3 other movies they made. Just to like pump out a Amityville movie for Tubi.
Yeah, but Amityville Cock Ring is gonna rock. Okay.
I mean, I am in. I'm still trying to find a way to read Amityville Bukkake because I know that's gonna be fucking incredible. I also did buy Amityville Vibrator solely for the title, and that movie's terrible.
Yeah,
bad.
true.
What a waste.
Katie, what did you think?
I actually loved it. I thought it was. I also had no idea what to expect because I didn't know anything about it, like going in, and I thought like it's like, okay. First of all, we were supposed to record this originally, and so the first day that I watched it was like
a week ago.
Yeah, but it was also like an incredibly emotional day for me because I was gonna say, like, I've said this before, but I don't normally cry during movies that we watch for the podcast, but this one made me cry. And then also because we put our house up for sale, which was like already like emotional. Then I watched this. Then I immediately watched I Saw the TV Glow after it, and I was like, this is a really, really rough day for me. So I don't know if I was just like in my feels already, but this movie kind of exceeded my expectations because like we're saying, it is obviously low budget, and so there's not a lot of special effects or like whatever, but I think it's like really impressive, like some of the, like you can tell by watching it that it's low budget, but I think that the things that they did in it to make it like creepy or spooky were really smart. I loved all the girls. Like, I thought the characters felt so just like authentic and genuine, and it like gave me kind of like well, of course, like there's a TV show within the movie, which is already one of my favorite things, and they show us some of the movie, so it's like oddly, I Saw the TV Glow and this movie are like a really good double feature.
I had watched them back to back again when we were going to record, and I was like, oh, this is like an interesting like parallel.
Oddly, like very similar. They both have super sick lighting going on, where there's like a lot of either like the pink and the blue kind of like neon lighting. Yeah.
Yeah, Alice has that a lot in her movies. It rocks.
Like, really say less. Show me the bisexual lighting and I'm running for it.
It's also, sorry, not to like interrupt real quick, but I also want to state that like I think currently Alice is 20 years old.
Holy shit.
And has made all of these movies in that like amount of time. And the fact that like,
that's incredible.
The fact that like they're all even remotely watchable, let alone like,
good.
Like I think everything I've rated like 3 stars to like 5, and it's like insane for like someone that young.
Yeah, Yeah, and I mean, like I said, I think the writing is really believable. The characters were all had like really good. I loved the two main characters are Sophie and Spencer, and I like loved them together. I thought that they're just like besties, and the lighting was really cool. I liked a lot of like the soundtrack had like a synthy thing to it, which obviously is like totally my thing. The TV show or like the made for TV like Elvira thing going on, of course I like ate that shit up because it looked it when you're giving me a movie that has a TV show or a movie, again, I saw the TV Glow, so similar, and you're actually showing me the movie or the TV show, I'm eating it up. So they show us like the movie within the movie, and it's kind of like a made for TV movie type thing. Like I loved that, and the whole thing kind of gave me like Buffy vibes, where it's just like this group of people like dealing with like a terrible thing that's happening, and like they're kind of some of them are kind of just like, well, Buffy specifically is like, I don't really want to deal with this, I just want to like I'm just a girl,
Yeah, like go to
but
school.
but it's like, who else is going to do it if not us? Like, sorry, we don't want to do it, but we have to. That kind of like aspect of it, I was like, this is great. Like, I don't really have any notes, to be honest with you.
I really love the when they show the footage from like the movie that's playing that's like mirroring like what's happening to them, and it's like it's interesting because we've seen some movies on this podcast that do the like fake VHS effects. And like the movie they watch in this, like it looks like it's supposed to be shot on video, but it looks like they actually did. Like it doesn't just look like a shitty like tape effect.
Like a filter,
like a
over
digital
it.
thing.
And it rocks.
Yeah.
And like also like for some reason they all have flip phones, and I don't know if that's just Australia is like fucking 30 years behind or something, but I kind of love it. I'm like, every time I see a flip phone now, I'm like, God, I want a flip phone again so bad.
Yeah, me too.
You know how nice it would be to not be able to connect to the internet?
Yeah, honestly. Okay.
Yeah,
Any notes?
No,
Get into
we
it?
can dive into it.
All right. Let's get on. Okay, so I'm going to just say there are... so we find out like very early on, like I said, the main characters are Sophie and Spencer. Sophie, I think, is like the main character, and she's a director. And, there's like... So essentially there's like this host that, again, has like an Elvira-esque kind of thing going on, where it's like black and then their outfit's black and they've got like dramatic makeup and whatnot. And so we hear a lot of kind of like monologues from this host that I left out because it's a lot, but it also gives a lot of context to the movie. So I would recommend. Oh, I think that it's a drag queen. I think their name is etc. etc.
Wow, that's an incredible drag name.
Amazing. Yeah. And but it gives a lot of like, basically it's like a mirror, because it's the intro to this TV show that they're obsessed with, but I think it adds a lot of context to the movie, so I feel like just go watch it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, like,
go watch this movie.
I don't remember if we said, but it's like it's on Shudder if you have Shudder, but it's also on Tubi. So
yeah, the tubes, Tubi coming in hot with this one. And so essentially it just like opens up with this host giving us a monologue about how what you're about to see is a work of fiction, but it's much realer than it seems. And then they're basically just like, just remember, like, if you get scared, it's only a movie. It's not, though, because this shit's scary, I'm telling you. So this is where, in the very beginning, we get the kind of thing where we see somebody who turns out to be Sophie, like, typing. Is it Sophie or is it Spencer? One of them is, like,
it's
a writer, and one is the director. So typing, like, writing out this scene that's playing out, and then it's being acted out. But I basically wrote someone's writing a screenplay. We see text of what's happening over the actual scene, but then I just wrote people are sad and there's a cop. That's pretty much all we know about the story, right?
That's why people are sad.
Yeah,
'Cause
Yeah.
there's a cop there.
There's
It's Sophie essentially like writing into her script what happened with her when she like came out as trans to her parents.
Yeah.
bad, especially like we said, because there's a cop. So now there's just this like random dude that's like looking around a building and like checking for earthquake damage, because this is another one of those things where I feel like you need to watch it more than once to get the full context of what's happening, because otherwise when you find out the twist, it does seem kind of out of nowhere, I felt. But then when you start thinking of, because a lot of the information that they're giving us is like peripheral information, so it'll be like the two characters are like going about, Sophie and Spencer, like going about their morning having coffee or whatever, and then there's like a news broadcast in the back talking about contaminated water and stuff. So you really have to be paying attention to like what's going on around them, because this guy is just like checking this building for earthquake damage. So we hear that there's been a really bad earthquake, okay? And that comes into the plot later, but at first you're just like, what? So he basically is looking around, and then he sees some little glowing green eyes in a pipe, and then he gets
That's
squirted
never
in the
good.
face. No, he's like, what?
If you see
He
eyes
does the
staring at you
opposite.
from a pipe, you run.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was going to say, he does the
Don't
opposite
keep
of what
staring.
I would do, which is that I would have run instead of being like, what is that? And looking closer. Because like,
I would burn that
Very-
building down and leave.
yeah, very best case scenario, it's a rat, which is like fine, but also you don't really want to get, bit or some shit.
Hantavirus.
Yeah. Yes, right. And so, yeah, sees some little green eyes, and he's like, what? And then he gets squirted on by some black ink, which is also pretty bad. And then he yells, of course. I wrote title - cool. So I thought the title was cool looking, I guess. Like I said, I didn't get a chance to rewatch this, and normally I watch it day of, so I'm super fresh. So unfortunately, I'm not as fresh. I'm sorry. Okay. This is when we're actually introduced to Sophie and Spencer, who are besties, like I said, and roommates, and they're watching a movie which features the host from the beginning I was talking about, and they're basically like talking about how the host, they're giving us like a little bit of background about the host, which is that in the 90s, they were known for being like a trans host. And unfortunately, they died by suicide, and they're just kind of like commenting on that, which is, obviously very sad. But Spencer is basically like, Sophie is getting ready to go on a date, and she's really nervous about it because she's saying that this is her first time going on a date since presenting. And so she's like, of course, nervous about that. And Spencer's just kind of like, I don't know, this guy sounds like, I think basically the guy last minute was like, hey, come meet me. And Sophie's like, okay, cool. And Spencer's like, no, that's sus. And I kind of agree with Spencer, by the way. And, Sophie's like getting her outfit advice and looking all cute and is excited, is going to go on the date. So Sophie meets up with the guy. They also tell us some information about how she works at a movie theater, which is like kind of the day job aside from being a movie director. And the date seems to be going really well. And then the guy decides to go to the bathroom, and she checks a notification on his phone, which is from some kind of like fetish site. And is immediately like, red flag, peace out. I called this guy Fetish Guy. I don't actually know what his name was.
I think it was Adam.
Oh, okay.
Because he's like,
Adam.
all of the like promo pictures when you like look up this movie, or like I think it was like maybe the header. Oh no, that's actually different on Letterboxd. Usually when I've like looked it up and I've seen it, it's like him, and like later in the movie when he's like covered in green light and he's just got a bunch of weird goo coming out of his mouth.
I hate that. That like really spooked me, that scene. I hated it. Hated it in a good way, obviously. He had like a Joker thing going on that I was like bummed out
Yeah,
by.
I could
Anyways.
definitely see him play the Joker.
Yeah, like, okay. So, Sophie is obviously sad about this because she thought the date was going really well, but turns out he's just gross. And
He's a
so,
chaser.
yeah, which I actually like. I could tell from context clues what that was, but I actually like wasn't totally sure.
Yeah, that's like a common term, and it actually, I feel like, if I remember correctly, comes up kind of frequently in her movies.
Yeah, yeah, I could see that for sure. And yeah, okay. Goes home, obviously tells Spencer what happened, isn't upset, and so they kind of just like make fun of him, as they should, because he's a piece of shit. And they just like get drunk and do some drugs and just have a
They
fun
do
time about
a
it.
lot of drugs.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not judging. But then then like they're partying, right? The light's crazy, there's like music playing, they're just like having the best time ever, and then at the end they end up like throwing up a bunch and then just like laughing. And I wrote, just girl things.
Yep.
Okay, so, at the same time that this is happening, Adam, who is the fetish guy, is like pissed off about being rejected, whatever. And the dude from the beginning who was looking at the little green eyes, approaches him and is just like, hey, I saw what happened at the bar, basically says a bunch of like gross transphobic stuff, and is just like, listen, why don't you come with me? Nobody rejects me anymore because whatever, let me show you, offers him a drink or whatever. And the drink, and Adam's like, okay, great, sure. And the drink is that a bunch of guys dunk his head into some like slime. And I was like, gross.
Yeah, boys
But
will
he
be
likes
boys.
it. Exactly. Like literally. He likes it.
Fucking slime boys.
Yeah, he's excited by it. The next day, Spencer and Sophie work on a movie set together. Then they go out to this bar, which is like a frequent this bar, where we meet Storm, who is one of their other friends, and also I think is like either a bartender or owns it. And then we also meet Crystal, who I loved, which I was really sad about. Crystal has the best jacket I've seen in a movie in a long time. And they're just kind of like talking or whatever. Sophie goes to the bathroom and finds a flyer for like an alt-right like anti-trans rally that's going to be happening, and of course they're all like, who the fuck came in here and put this in the bathroom? That's so rude or whatever. Then there's like a disturbance where there's a guy in there who is also just a piece of shit and is being loud or whatever and ends up getting kicked out. This is when randomly Sophie starts feeling weird and getting this like headache. And whenever this happens to her, she kind of has like this like prism
Yeah, it rocks.
effect look about her, which is pretty cool. And she sees like an image in her mind of like the fetish guy being gross. And then, I mean, like, of course. And he's kind of, being like looking crazy or whatever. And so Sophie's just like, okay, that's weird.
His like over the top grin, like we said, like he looks like he could play the Joker, but it's like upsetting every time there's like a close up of his face, just like the biggest smile you've ever seen.
Yeah. It was like very unnerving. So then Sophie's just kind of like, okay, that was weird, I don't know. That night, Sophie basically like has a nightmare of like a bunch of dudes eating something bloody, I guess you would say.
Seems like a bad
This is the
dream
part
to
of-
have.
Listen, yeah.
Unless like
not the best.
Conan the Barbarian's there.
Makes every dream better.
Yeah. Just kid, have you seen Dream Scenario?
Not yet.
Oh, so like the beginning of that movie when they're all having the dreams of like Nicolas Cage being in their dreams, he's just like casually walking through, and I just had the image of it just being like Conan just standing in the background with a big ass sword.
Just like minding his own business.
Yeah.
These are very obviously like zombie-esque kind of guys. They make noises and they look very just like not great. This is the part.
Brainworms.
Yep.
Yeah, this is the part I was talking about earlier where they're making coffee, just like going about their morning, and there's a news report in the background talking about weird looking water in the taps, and if your water obviously looks or smells or tastes weird, like stop drinking it, which is
I like.
Seems like that would be self-explanatory, right?
I like
but-
having to be
I don't-
having to be told that.
Yeah, I don't need anyone to tell me if my water smells or looks weird to not drink it.
You know, unfortunately, not everyone's as normal as us. So
Yeah, that is unfortunately true.
Sophie has this unknown number calling her, and obviously she's like not wanting to pick it up because she thinks it could be the fetish guy. But then there's a voicemail from someone who is basically
The best character in the movie.
oh my god, I couldn't really tell exactly like what his role was, but he's basically calling about collaborating in some way. He's interested in talking to Sophie because she's a director, and so he's like, call me back or whatever. And Spencer is like, oh my god, that would be great. This could be a really good opportunity. But Sophie's kind of like, I don't know, I'm sus, which she should be, by the way. So then there's like this scene where Sophie's brother comes and they kind of just like talk about life, catch each other up. And we get the sense here that because the brother gives Sophie money and says it's like from their dad who's been saving up money, but like don't let mom know. So I'm assuming that in some capacity she's estranged from both of them, at least the mom.
Yeah,
because the dad.
What you see in the beginning when she's like, like writing the script stuff is like her telling them, and like the mom like shakes her head and gets up and leaves the room.
Yeah. So, yeah, so, they're basically just like catching each other up on life or whatever. Oh, I did also forget to mention that she kind of has like a meet cute with this guy named Chris at the bar. So while she's at work, she runs into him again. While she's at work at the movie theater, he comes out having watched a movie, and they kind of like meet and start talking. And he's got like a Jacob from Twilight vibe with his long hair and his muscles and whatnot.
Yes.
And they're just kind of like talking and like flirting a little bit, and it's like very cute.
He says Loca.
He was like, oh my god, where you been, Loca? And so she's like, well, I'm going to be at this bar later if you want to come around like 6 or 7. And so he's like, okay, great. He's also wearing a sweater, like very cute. So at the bar's like completely empty. And they're kind of like, well, what's going on? And Storm is saying that everyone is just laying low because of that rally that's happening. And, and they're just trying to like protect themselves by not going out, essentially, which, unfortunately. And also, I forgot to mention again that there was like a little scene with Crystal out in a parking lot, like looking sus or whatever. And it's at this point that Storm says that she hasn't heard from Crystal. Still works at the bar, so that's kind of weird. And then she's also like, I don't know, Crystal, did I tell you guys Crystal has depression, and sometimes they just go missing for a while to try and like, get it together or whatever. Which again, I think this conversation, because like they're concerned for Crystal, but also like sometimes people just need space. And so that's like such a real fear that like, is this person actually missing, or do they, you know what I mean? I don't know. So this kind of thing just like is kind of what added to like the authenticity of the feeling of the movie to me. And, so they're just kind of like talking about that. Sophie gets one of her like weird vibe things again, and they go outside to kind of like, they hear like a commotion, they go outside and they see that Chris is getting like beat up by a group of like the shitty zombie dudes, and Fetish Guy is there. And this was literally so vile to me. There's like this I don't even know how to explain it. It's like a gross black tubule thing that they're like spitting into each other's mouths and also eating.
Like the worm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
but
Shai-Hulud.
Yeah.
It looked so vile. Like it literally looked like I know most people have seen this where your cat spits up like a hairball, but it's like perfectly tube shaped. It kind of looked like reminded
Ugh.
me of that, and it literally grossed me out. But they're like eating this black thing.
It's the
I
like
hate
the
that.
aspect of the movie I think I love the most is like the sort of metaphor of like this parasite with like transphobia or just like bigotry in general, where like you get well eventually you get like this sort of explained to you, but it's like these dudes passing this parasite along of to each other that is like causing them to become like violent bigots that like I don't know, I think it like is this like a really interesting metaphor for like a horror movie to use.
Yeah. It's also like the way that they're transferring it to each other is like pretty intimate.
Oh, the
too,
like the
so
one at
I
the
think
end
that, yeah.
when like Adam is
yeah.
just like dripping it from his mouth into some other dude's mouth that they like stop. It looks even grosser there because it's just like this weird
That's-
like
yeah.
matte black fucking
Yeah.
tube.
Ugh.
Gross. Yeah, so they're just like chomping on this black thing that's like squirting ink everywhere,
Yep.
and they're
Don't be a
loving
bigot.
it.
You're gonna have to
They
put-
are loving it.
Weird giant black worms in your mouth.
Yeah, they like it though. So, yeah, this is the scene we were talking about earlier where he, the fetish guy, like looks up at them and is just like smiling as wide as you can, and like the bottom half of his mouth is completely got like the black ink goo all over it, and it's like a close up, and the background is green, and I wrote like genuinely very creepy, like gross. If I saw this guy in the street, no.
Pass.
Yeah. So after, there's like a scuffle with them because, like I said, they like teamed up on Chris because they're like trying to like get him to be part of the group, but he's cool, so he's like, nah. And so they all like escape this like group of dudes. And as this is they're all kind of like, oh my god, what the shit was that? And Spencer's just like, oh my god, this is exactly like that one movie. Do you know what I'm talking about? And they're like, what? She's like, yeah, it's exactly like that movie. So they go back, they watch the movie, which is, like we said, the host from that's been coming in and out of the movie does the intro, and then they show us the movie. It's like a made-for-TV movie, and it's essentially, what we were just saying. There was like a catastrophic earthquake where this like parasite creature came out, and he's been like inhabiting dudes, and it's kind of like giving them like a zombie like effect, but not like like it is. They're like grunting and groaning, and they've become like hyper aggressive.
It's a little more like 28 Days Later version where they're just
like,
kind of like angry and aggressive as opposed to like shambling zombie.
Right.
Yeah.
Their appearance is just like normal guys, sort of. A lot of them are hunched over, but some people got bad posture, so I don't know. It really is like one of those things though, where it's another layer of it is just like these guys are kind of like quote unquote hidden in plain sight, which adds to like the fear from it, And I feel like another aspect of it is definitely just like amplifying the bad things in them, which obviously is like giving out the aggression and whatnot. So they watch the movie, and it's like pretty similar, that's what's happening. There's a person in the movie who has to basically like stand up for them, for the whole world and like whatever. Okay. But like I said, they show us a pretty good amount of the actual movie, and I loved it. I thought it was great.
Yeah, it looks sick. Like, because especially for me as like a SOV fan, they do a fucking incredible job of like nailing that aesthetic.
Yeah. Getting the vibe.
For sure. So this is when they just they all suit up, and they just start beating the shit out of the dude.
My one critique of this movie, I don't think any of their masks are gonna hide their identity very well, especially the guy that just has like the weird pit viper looking
the like visor
thing. I'm like, bro, I could see 80% of your face.
Yeah, I did like
At least
Spencer had one of those like balaclavas that had like the little devil horns on it, which I thought was very
Yeah, I was gonna
cute,
say at
but-
least like 2 of them had like full face masks, but like some of them were like, I just put sunglasses on. It's fine.
It's fine.
No one could
Yeah,
recognize
no one-
Batman from the bottom of his face, so
That's exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly it. No one's gonna recognize Chris's flowing locks down. You know, like he's got like really
right.
long hair, and he's like
hey,
pretty muscly.
who's this
I feel
guy
like
that
he-
looks like fucking Jacob from Twilight?
literally? Maybe I don't know.
He's
They're
shirtless
like,
the whole
that's
time.
Just,
He's
yeah, that's just Taylor Lautner. Don't worry about
constantly
it.
following a fucking weird-looking baby around.
The CGI baby. That's what the whole budget went to. Was the yeah. So they just
had to,
that's
they had to pay for to get the Renesmee doll in the movie.
yeah, the one that looks like melted cottage cheese in a pantyhose. So this was like my literal only critique of the movie is this part where they watch the movie and then it literally cuts to them just like being the shit out of dudes, which like don't get me wrong, I support, but I felt like the switch between like this is what's happening, they just like immediately were like, okay, great, and then immediately started just like beating people up. And so like my thing was like, because the zombie guys, you can't really tell like who's who, I just was confused in the moment because I was like, who are they beating up? Like,
Yeah, I get that.
how are they finding the zombie guys, etc., etc.? But like ultimately I don't care.
It's mostly,
you know.
I think the idea is that like the headaches Sophie gets is where
Yeah.
like when she knows they're around, but like I
Sure,
don't
sure.
remember that being fully explained until like after that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Which, like, fine, because, like, I feel like if this is something that's... Because they also don't really explain, like, why she has this power, which is, like, also fine to me. I'm just saying, like, if you're watching it for the first time in the moment, that's just a thing that was kind of muddy to me. But it's, like, whatever. They're beating guys up. It's great. You know, and then after they're, like, beating up these shitbags, then they're partying. I wrote Sophie and Chris kiss, tee-hee. They're having a great time. There's a moment where Sophie is walking to work and her dad comes and kind of like checks on her, and this is where we find out that her dad is a cop. So that little like scene in the beginning where I was like, oh, everyone's sad and there's a cop, that was actually her dad,
Yeah.
not like somebody called in for some reason or whatever. And basically it's just, you know, he's like, there's people missing, and like, I just want to make sure that you're being safe. Like, can I give you a ride to work? That kind of thing. And so then, oh my God, I was like, Sophie goes to this like coffee shop to meet the movie guy who called. His name is Zen.
Zen.
I wrote Sophie, and I hate him. He's
Zen
like
is
fucking
the
worst.
best character in the movie.
I swear to God,
Incredible.
I literally, it fills me with rage when people snap at waiters.
He started doing that, and I was like, "Fuck this!"
That dude is so good at just portraying like shitty businessman.
That
white
exact
dude.
dude.
Yeah. The moment the snap, I was like, oh, it like makes my skin
He's
crawl.
in
I hate
one
it.
of her other movies. He rocks. He's like, obviously the character sucks, but he's so good
Right.
at like portraying that like he
Yeah.
like just fucking slimy, just
Entitled
like
piece of
yeah,
shit.
oh yeah, entitled is the perfect term for it.
So, you know, and Sophie is like basically only meeting with this guy because Spencer is like, I think that this could be a really good opportunity, and you just don't ever know unless you try, go for it.
You know,
Believe in yourself.
there is a real world story behind that of like some
Oh, I'm sure.
executive
Yeah.
like Alice had to meet up with or something.
Yeah, I bet. So basically, he's just talking about how he saw this project that she did, thinks she's great. He is putting together a indie film festival for, and I quote, LGBTQ plus filmmakers. Okay. and wants Sophie to participate. And Sophie, I feel like, is getting the bad vibes from this guy that we all are, but kind of, you know, is like trying to hear him out. But then she gets her like weird vibe thing and is like, you know what? Yeah, sounds great. Perfect. Sign me up. I gotta go, and leaves. Because there's men to beat up. You know what I'm saying? So basically, the group all meets up and starts discussing like how they can try and get rid of this, because like this virus thing is like spreading obviously, and they need a way to kind of like get a leg up. So they're talking about how somehow they figured out that this warehouse is like because Chris's shitty friend that gets kicked out of the bar before, I think goes to a meeting at the warehouse where he gets the parasite. And so Chris is like, maybe Chris is the one that says it's the warehouse that's like the start of everything. So they're like, okay, we're going to go to the warehouse and we're going to find a way to get in, and we're just going to like burn it down or whatever. So they go to the warehouse, they're able to get in, and this is where, unfortunately, they find that Crystal has been killed. They find the bloody jacket that I love so much just, like, on the floor, which was very sad to me. And, you know, a bunch of zombie guys show up, and they fight. They have this, like, huge fight.
I would say, is this the scene where they pretty much beat him, and then, like, Adam shows up and bites the dude?
Yeah, so they're basically like the fighting, kicking these guys' asses, and half of them end up running away. And so they light the fire because they're going to try and burn the warehouse down. And this is when, in the middle of them doing this, Sophie gets a headache or like one of the vibes or whatever. So Chris goes to like catch and console her. And this is, yeah, when the fetish guy comes and just like bites his neck open, which made me really upset. Okay, I wanted a happily ever after here, but no. He basically just like bleeds out and dies like pretty instantly, which is like so sad.
It's also like seems very quick from just getting bit in the neck. I've seen a lot of vampire movies. Doesn't usually go that quick.
Yeah, that's fair. But also, like, the other thing is that even if he didn't die, like, he's probably got the virus, so, like, what can they even do? They're like, Sophie screams, like, you know, no, or whatever, and they're like, come on, we have to go, we have to leave him, so they do, which is sad. And I think Sophie is saying that she can feel that the one that's laying the eggs is
Adam,
the fetish guy. Yeah. So she knows that now, at least. So they go back to the apartment, and Sophie is basically saying about how she wants to give up, like how this is too hard, and, you know, she is upset because she felt like, you know, she found in Chris like somebody who just like loved her for who she was, and now she's lost that. Like,
scene is brutal.
This is the scene I was saying that it made me cry.
Yeah, like, I think I teared up the first time I watched it because like the actor that plays Sophie is like so good in it.
Yeah. Also, makeup on point the entire time too. They had this like glitter thing going on. Oh yeah. The cheek, amazing. It was like very sad. I felt sad, but Spencer, and this is the part of it that kind of gave me like the Buffy vibes too. Aside from some of the splat, because there's a lot of like beating off camera and then like blood splatter, which is like also like a very Buffy thing, but this was like specifically the part where Sophie's just like, why us? Like, why are we the ones that have to deal with this? Like, even if we're like saving our immediate area, like maybe it's spread, like how are we supposed to deal with that? And Spencer is essentially just like, we just got to do what we can. Like, like you have people around you that love you, I love you, Storm, we're all here for you, and like we just got to do it because we know about it. It's our responsibility.
Yeah, there's like a really brutal line in there where she's like, I think it's when because when she holds up the rally flyer, I think it's where they get their idea to go look for the worm. Yeah. But she's like, it doesn't matter. Like, even if we beat them here, like they still win. They always win. Or like whatever. The line is,
they win even when they lose.
Yeah, yeah, it's brutal. It's like just like in general, like a fucking indictment of just like the state of the world.
I know. I mean, and part of that obviously is why it feels so hopeless. Is because it's true. Like the situation is real, and that's what was like
Right.
just like terrible about it. But Spencer is essentially just like, you know, you're surrounded by people who love you. We just have to try to do the best that we can. And like, can you think of anything truer?
I love like their line where they're like, so what? We lose the apartment, we'll go fucking squat somewhere. We're punks. Who gives a shit?
Yeah,
I was like, hell
right.
yeah.
Like, who cares? I mean, Spencer is a real one for sure.
Yeah.
So Sophie's like, all right, let's go fucking do this. This is when Sophie realizes that the rally is the perfect place to find the fetish guy because there's going to be a lot of other hateful dudes there willing to accept this parasite, right? And so that's where they're going to go find him. They end up finding him pretty quick. He looks fucking rough at this point. Like, so this is the scene we were talking about earlier where we see him like lay an egg in this guy's throat. It is fucking vile. Ugh, and that's what I'm saying.
It's
like,
so gross.
Even though the budget is low, they're just doing very simple, practical stuff, but it's so effective. This scene was like actually so gross. The guy's like laying on gross. Anyways. So yeah, they basically start chasing Adam, and it's interesting too because like they've shown us the made-for-TV version of this or whatever. And the scene at the end basically plays out the same way where they like chase Adam into the park, and Sophie ends up like tackling him, so he rolls around on the ground or whatever, and she ends up just like fucking killing him, and it mimics the scene in the movie like pretty much exactly, which was great. Like I liked it.
Yeah, I'm not sure, but I think he's trying to like lay whatever this worm is into the ground. Because he's like digging into the dirt, but it's never. I can't remember if it's stated in like the movie within the movie or not. But like, yeah, it's weird because he's like rolling around, but then he's also like digging into the dirt, and I'm like, my assumption is he's going to like put one of these worms into the earth.
Maybe because like they made a point of saying that the egg laying part of the parasite was transferred to Adam.
Yeah.
So I think it might be like that thing where it's like running, and if its host dies, like it dies or whatever. So maybe it's trying to transfer back into the ground because they came out of the ground originally, right? So that would make sense to me. So then it does this thing where it cuts from Sophie having, you know, like fucking just decimating this guy, and there's like ink splattering all over up or whatever, to an actor being, I guess, playing Sophie in a movie. It cuts to like a movie that Spencer and Sophie are making of what they just went through, and I don't know if you guys caught it, but they're on take 69.
Yeah, I did.
Nice. Then it cuts to, you know, they're filming the movie or whatever, take 69. Then it cuts to them being at like a club, and there's like a concert going on, and they have locked that piece of shit movie guy in a crate.
Rude.
And they're
Justice for Zen.
No. Because basically, you know, they're like talking to him, and they're like, maybe you'll think twice before you try and scam, you know, like indie filmmakers or whatever. And I think they say something about like, don't mess with queer filmmakers or something like that. But they're basically just like, I don't know, getting revenge on some bullshit that he pulled, which good, fuck that guy. Terrible vibes. And that's pretty much the end.
My favorite aspect of this scene is like they had the same thing in Death Drop Gorgeous, but I think it was like during one of the drag performances where like one of the drag queens is like lip syncing. They're clearly not saying any of the words in the actual song because they could not get the rights to it. But in the scene in T Blockers, that like Dead Men Don't Rape song is playing, and it's clearly not the band on stage. And it's, I don't know, I love that shit where it's like clearly they shot something and just like we're just like, I don't know, I want to put this song here instead, or like whatever. It rocks. That song, hard as fuck.
Pretty great. So yeah, overall,
Yeah,
very
I
good.
mean, like I said, the only full length that's out that I haven't watched yet is SoVam, and I would recommend all the rest of them. They're all pretty good. Carnage for Christmas rocks. It's like the probably the most fun of hers that I've seen so far, where it's like less heavy as like T Blockers is. It's just more like this goofy Christmas movie about like a true crime podcaster or whatever. It's pretty fun.
Sure.
Yeah.
Satanic Panic, also pretty fun. Has like a
Incredible name.
Yes, perfect title. And it's like if you like the lighting in this movie, there's a shit ton of it in that movie.
Hell yeah.
But like I said, I think all of them actually, all the full lengths are now on Tubi as well. But if you have Shudder, you can at least watch them without commercials. I think
Yeah.
I think
Well,
SoVam is still Shudder exclusive.
Oh. Boo.
Yeah, I want to watch that so
Yeah.
bad, but that's
I've been watching Tubi on my laptop with like
Ad
an ad
blocker.
blocker or whatever, and it works. And I'm like, this is the best thing ever. But yeah, give me lighting, give me some synth music. I'm literally there. So
all right. Kit, what did you watch this week?
Great question. I don't think I really watched anything since the last time we recorded. I rewatched Jackass Forever last night
Hell
because
yeah.
Tess has never seen it, and she was blown away by the opening.
What did you think about Skateboard Guillotine?
The gasp. She let out a gasp.
I still think
she's
the worst thing I've seen in one of those movies.
It's like they hadn't even dropped it yet. He just rolled up his pants and stuck his legs under it, and she goes, "Oh no!" Oh yeah.
I still like.
Can't do it.
I have watched so many dudes on that show get hit in the balls by like a softball or some shit, but that fucking skateboard to the
Ugh.
shits, I'm like, oh no.
Yeah.
Fucking dude almost gets his dick eaten by a bear in that movie, and I'm still just like, the skateboard seems the worst.
I mean,
What about you, Katie?
I don't know if I watched anything. We started watching the new season of The Bear, which, to be very honest with you, I've never been like a huge fan of it. I thought the first season was pretty okay, but these last couple seasons have just been not it for me. The other thing that I watched in that like long time when I hadn't recorded that I forgot to say was that obviously we watched the second season of The Last of Us, which was not my favorite. Did I even watch anything else? I watched some ghost shows, of course. I found another channel that is kind of like the budget version of the ghost channel I was watching, so it's like even cornier, which has been great. But I don't think I watched any movie.
Yeah, I think outside of watching a couple of her movies, I started rewatching It's Always Sunny today, and forgot how hard those first 2 seasons go on being insanely
It hits the ground
offensive,
running.
but like not in like a shitty way.
Yeah,
like I think
not in a like punching down way.
Yeah, like
look at how awful these people are, and these are like people that you know.
Caitlin and
Kinda
I
way.
were fucking dying at the episode where Dee and Dennis want to get on welfare, so they just start doing crack.
Incredible.
And fucking like the line at the end when they're just like they all meet back up at the bar, and like Max is like, "Oh, I'm sorry, did somebody get addicted to crack?"
Like,
Oh my God.
like rubbing their eyes
Oh,
like they're
so
crying.
fun. That, and they find out like Dee and Dennis's dad is or grandpa was a Nazi.
Yeah,
Like, fuck that old bitch. He was a Nazi.
that Nazi bitch.
Oh, it's
I
so
don't
good.
know.
I don't think I think the last season I watched was either the one that ends with them on like the cruise ship that's going down.
Oh,
I can't
that
remember
one's
like
good.
that one, or like I know I saw the episode where they're doing the Wiz, where like
Yeah,
and I can't remember if that was before or after, but that was like whatever one of those was.
that was like 13 or 14,
Yeah,
I think,
I haven't
because that was the last season I watched. I'm pretty
Yeah, I
sure.
haven't seen anything since, so I think we might just like try to rework our way through that in between fucking stupid ass Survivor. God, man, we're on the season of Survivor where they brought back like quote unquote like game changer people that like made big moves or whatever. And like I was texting Katie about it, and there was this episode where like there's this guy on it named Zeke that like in their first season, Caitlin was like, I'm pretty sure that person is trans, but I can't tell. And like we're watching the season where they come back, and this one guy is like getting ready to get kicked off, and he's like ranting about like people being deceptive, and he's like blah blah blah. Well, people on here have been lying the whole time. It's like, Zeke, how come you haven't told anyone you're transgender? And everyone was like, what the fuck, dude?
Jesus.
And I was like, holy shit. And like the good thing is like everyone, including Jeff, is just like, bro, what the fuck? And like,
Please leave.
yeah, and like literally Jeff was like, I'm
Yeah.
going to go out on a limb and say we don't even need to have a vote right now. And everyone's like, nope, out of
Yeah.
here.
Yeah.
And it's
Get his ass out of here.
it kind of rocked to see that in like, 2013 or whatever the fuck this season was. That like
Yeah.
they all like immediately, because like there was at least like one older gay man on it that was like, you just took like a major thing away from Zeke by like outing him. And like even Jeff was like, look, I know in your mind you just outed him to like the 7 people at like Tribal, but like did you forget there
That's
are
just on TV.
cameras here? And the guy like you can see it like dawning on him what he just did as the tribal council or whatever is going on. And like I don't like, it was one of those ones where like I don't necessarily think in his mind he was doing something malicious per se, and as it starts dawning on him, he's like, oh fuck, what did I just do? And it's like it was one of the like
Dumb piece of shit.
yeah, one of the most like wild things I've seen, like because like it was a season that we had on, and I was like looking at my phone, I wasn't even paying attention really, and I just heard like, Zeke, why haven't you told everybody you're transgender? And I was like, excuse me? And like,
Yeah, what?
immediately I was like, all right, I'm in on this season. This is fucking crazy. Like it's one of the fucking most wild things I've seen in like one of these fucking stupid ass reality shows in a while. It fucking caught me off guard. I can't imagine everybody else actively there when it happened. But like I said, I was like, thank God everyone was just like, bro, get the fuck out of here.
Yeah. Yeah,
'Cause,
fuck off.
Fucking luckily it wasn't the season with like John Rocker on it or fucking whatever.
Oh my god.
He also got booted out fucking real fast. It rocked.
Good.
Like, somebody was like, I know who that dude is. I'm pretty sure he got kicked off his baseball team for being a fucking dipshit bigot. And this black woman just like
Yeah.
immediately called him out on it. They all voted him out that episode.
Yeah, I had to explain who John Rocker was to Tess. She was like, I don't remember him, and I was like, let me read you one of the headlines
That's
that he
the
made.
exact same fucking thing when like we were watching it. I was like, John Rocker sounds really familiar, and I looked it up, and I was like, I'm probably reading the exact same thing to Caitlin that you read to Tess about like him fucking talking shit about like New York or whatever.
Yeah,
Yeah.
immigrants on the subway and
Caitlin was like, "Oh, fuck
Yeah.
this dude," and I was like, I looked it up like
He's
specifically to be like, I wonder how many episodes he lasted. It was like 3.
he's
Yeah.
only gotten worse.
Yeah, I bet.
Obviously.
There's like every maybe like 4 or 5 seasons, there's like a celebrity that's on there, but it's like the weirdest celebrities were like, oh, I can't think of his name, but he was like, I think a Dallas Cowboys coach at some point was on it. There was one of the actresses from like Facts of Life was on it. She actually made it pretty far, but usually the
Random.
celebrities get voted off really quick. Like I don't know, we haven't got to it yet. It's like season 40 something, but the dude that does Pod Save America, like, it's
Oh
on
god,
it, and
one of the Pod Johns.
yeah, I think he's fucking kicked off in the first episode.
Good.
Yeah.
I mean, I just feel like if you know the person is an actor, like, how do you trust? Like, it's already hard to just trust whoever. I just would never
It's like
trust anything that they
the
say.
woman that was from like Facts of Life, I think made it so far because like for some reason everyone that's on Survivor ends up being fucking weirdly religious for some reason. Like there's like constantly people praying, and she was one of them, and she was on a tribe with a bunch of other fucking weirdo religious people, and I think like I feel like she was on a season that was like young versus old people or something, or maybe just the way tribes fucking worked out. She was on a tribe with a bunch of like, you know, like late 30s, early 40s up aged people, and like a couple of them were like, "Oh, I know who you are. This is fine. I don't really give a shit." Because usually a lot of the time it's people being like, "Well, this person doesn't need $1 million. They're already like a fucking rich sports star or whatever." But I'm like, none of these people are. John Rocker's not a fucking star. All right, Katie, will you shout out?
I'm gonna shout out. Citizen just re-released like a 10-year anniversary version of Everybody Is Going to Heaven, which first of all threw up in my pants that came out 10 years ago. But so it's like the songs, and then they added a disc too that has like different versions and demos of the songs from that album. And I think that's the first album that came out that people were kind of like, we don't like this because it's like a much different sound, but I have always loved it and I think it's amazing. And so I didn't even know that they were re-releasing it, so it really made my day on the day that I was fucking crying because of these movies you made me watch. So yeah.
All right, Kate, what you want to shout out?
I'm gonna go with Jaws.
Hell yeah.
It just turned 50. It's I watch it every year for 4th of July, because 4th of July fucking sucks, but Jaws rules.
Correct.
So, yeah, so Jaws. It's still just the fucking best movie ever made, 50 years later. Who knew?
I'm gonna shout out Cruel Jaws.
Hell yeah. The second best movie ever made.
Is that the one that we did, or what did we do?
We've done Jaws of Revenge and Cruel Jaws. No, we have not done 3 yet, but we should.
Okay.
3 fucking rocks.
3 rocks.
Fucking that.
We gotta watch it in 3D though.
Yes, the image of that shark not moving, just supposedly
drifting
swimming
straight at the screen.
Oh, it fucking rules. I love 3 so
The
much.
fucking best. The dead baby shark when it dies in captivity, and it's just like just floating here upside down.
I'm trying to see if I've had like anything new I've like even fucking listened to. This isn't new, but the Couch Slut Live at Roadburn 2024 album fucking rules. Go listen to that.
Hell yeah.
Couch Slut, pretty good band. Needs more feedback. That's always my complaint. I always tell Megan, more feedback. She's always like, the rest of the band disagrees, and I'm like, well, they're dumb.
Wow.
All right. I think next week, Katie and I are going to talk about Zach Baggins having an existential crisis at the Poltergeist house.
Amazing.
And then,
I can't wait to talk about all the fucking tea there is surrounding him right now. It's a great time.
But
it's a great time to be a hater, which I am.
whenever the 3 of us record again, we will do that fucking Ghost Patrol fucking whatever the fuck it was I said last. Ghoster Phantom Patrol that the dude from that made Tsunami made. And then
Oh no.
Ghoster Phantom Patrol.
fucking
Yep.
talk about something good after that because I have a feeling this movie's gonna be garbage. All right. If you'd like to support us, you can join our Patreon, patreon.com/IPSufferPodcast. I think sometime this week, Katie and I are going to talk about I Saw the TV Glow. After we talk about Zach Baggins having a fucking meltdown. Gosh, fucking, I watched this episode because Katie and I were going to record an episode on it a while back, and I don't remember why, but we didn't. But, like, in the middle of the episode, he's talking to someone in a walkie-talkie, and he just starts fucking melting down about being old now. And I was like, what the fuck is happening? It's
The entire episode is literally, like, it's Ghost Adventures, you know it's going to be unhinged, but the entire episode is just, like, so unhinged. It's bizarre.
he's at the Poltergeist house, and, like, every time he talks about, the movie Poltergeist, I'm like, I feel like you just watched this movie yesterday. And
he like pooped his
he's
pants.
like doing that shit where he's like, this is a movie I've watched all the time and I love it so much, and I'm like, bro, all you've talked about is like the 3 scenes everyone knows from this movie, which is the fucking the skeleton, the fucking TV scene, and like the fucking clown.
Which he owns now.
Of course
so,
he does.
Yeah.
Yeah. You can leave us rating and review, whatever the fuck you listen
But not
to.
comments.
Yeah, no comments. I turned that shit off. Except for, I guess, YouTube, because somebody left us a review on dinosaurs in a mining facility that was like, there's more dinosaurs in this mining facility? And I was like, that's good. Every other comment we ever get is something in a language I can't read from fucking the run and kill upload I did.
You know what is so funny that you're mentioning this? I literally just remembered when the guy was trying to mansplain snakes to me. I like literally just remembered it like yesterday, and I was like, "Why
I periodically like look at that comment only because it seems like every 2 weeks the person that left it changes their picture on there, and it's always a wrestler, and it's weird.
Yeah.
Because the first time it was
Red
like
flag.
like a weird fucking current picture of Triple H's face, and then I'm pretty sure at some point it was like Brutus the Beefcake Barber.
What?
It's fucking weird. Like every once in a while I'll look and I'm like, why are you changing the picture like so much on this? Who fucking changes their picture on YouTube? Apparently that guy, because he's got a lot of fucking nothing to do.
Except
yell at Katie for not knowing snakes. You can follow Kit at Hidden Kitstery, Kitchification of Blood. I assume something new when a new Blood Incantation album comes out. We'll see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What was... Oh, no. Yeah, we haven't done an Absolute something yet, so...
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
So it just works. It works too well with my name. I can't do anything with Absolute elsewhere.
Absolute Hoochwear? No, that doesn't work.
Oh, I don't like that. I think
Absa Hooch elsewhere.
There we go. Got it. Nailed it.
Aww.
You can follow Katie at WerewolfFace and join Katie's Patreon at patreon.com/WerewolfFace. You can listen to my other podcast, 8K Movie Club. Oh god, I don't want to watch that fucking Ghost Adventures episode again.
Here, let me give you guys, if you're still here, let me give you a preview. I did start taking notes. I was in the middle of watching the episode when you texted me and said I can't record, so I turned that shit off immediately. Because I have already seen the episode, obviously. This is a quote from the beginning of the episode. It's so weird to say that as a little boy, how things happen in life. And there I was, just like I said, a little boy, watching this movie, more terrified about the clown doll than anything else.
He's a freak.
That's just a preview. That's just this is what you're missing, Kit.
No, you're not.
Sounds incredible.
Never watched Ghost Adventures. It's the worst.
Well, Kit is lucky because the one that I wanted you to do, all of a sudden they just like took almost all of Ghost Adventures off of Max and like wherever else. And like only the newest season that's like currently airing, I think, is on there. So you'll just never have to watch it.
Cannot get into whatever the fuck is going on with HBO Max because
No idea.
It's-
Yeah, absolutely.
I am fucking endlessly baffled by every decision David Zaslav makes with their fucking streaming service.
Incredibly stupid.
Hey, we own the rights to all this stuff. What if we didn't have it on our streaming site and put it everywhere else? Smart.
Yeah.
Put it all on fucking.
What if we just
Put all the
watch
DC
it?
stuff
Business.
on Tubi for some reason. Oh, God,
Yeah.
everything's the worst. I'm getting rid of all my streaming sites. We're gonna have to just start doing movies that I own on DVD,
Oh, no. Well, and
so
like,
we can do Like and Colony
like-
again.
all right,
Hell
I'm
yeah.
down. I'm down for liking Colony again. Yeah, and like all of a sudden, everyone else has started like cracking down on password sharing, so I ain't got it anymore. And you know what? I'm not paying for it. I will watch
Yeah.
The Office on DVD over and over and over if I have to.
Yeah, we-
like you don't scare me.
We canceled a bunch of ours. We were just like, no one ever uses Netflix, and I was like, I only use it when there's like a new season of I Think You Should Leave. So whenever that drops, I could just fucking binge it all for like a week and then cancel it again.
Yeah. I mean, the only thing I actually have felt hurt about losing has been Hulu, just because, like, in the recent years, that's been mostly what I've watched. And I was in the middle of a King of the Hill rewatch, and they just took the rug out from under me. But you know what? I resent it, and I'm not going to give you money, okay?
Yeah,
I'll watch.
fucking.
Tubi's got a lot of really good stuff right now, I will say that. But it's hard when you're, like, in the mindset of, like, you know what you're, like, you want to watch. I've been having, like, choice paralysis, to be honest with you, recently, so
Oh,
we'll see. Maybe it's finally time. I've come to terms with the fact that I will never be emotionally stable enough ever again for the rest of my life, that there will be a good time for me to rewatch all of The Flash. So I think I'm just gonna have to do it, because I will never be well enough to deal with it. I'm just gonna have to bite the bullet.
Yeah.
It's gonna ruin
just fucking keep rewatching Kitchen Nightmares. It's the only good show.
me. I have been watching that Secret Service,
It's
but
bad.
I
I
just
don't like it.
It's not
Oh,
great. There's
I-
something about it.
Not to fucking go off on another tangent, but I watched fucking the first episode of Chopped Next Gen, and it is brutal.
Oh yeah, no, thank you.
The first fucking thing out of the fucking new host's mouth was like, "Yo, everybody," and I was like, "Nope, pass."
Yikes. Yeah.
All right, I'm not fucking ranting about being old, so I hope you suffer. But why? Getting old's bad. Everybody, Kid and Katie aren't listening now, so I can start ranting about being old.